So if you feel that your body is not functioning at its very best, or maybe you just think that it might not be functioning at its very best, what should you do? Well, here's the thing. If your car showed little warning engine light, or you heard a funny noise happening under the bonnet when you were driving, or you noticed when you were holding the steering wheel that it was just, when you took your hands off the steering wheel, the car was automatically going off to the side and not staying straight on the in the lane, what would you do? Well, you'd go to an expert who knows about that car, and you would get them to, first of all, check out the car to see if there's any problems that they can help with. And that really is exactly the same process as what you should do with your body. You know, you should be going to someone who can look very specifically as to how the different areas of your spine are moving, and if they are then affecting that brain-body connection and stopping you from being at your optimal health. Now, obviously, that's exactly what we do as chiropractors. That's exactly what I do. And the process for that is to, of course, go through a very thorough examination and to see exactly how those stresses may have affected your life, and to make sure that the body is working properly. Now, I'm on a bit of a mission here, and the reason is because where we are right now, not very many people know about chiropractic. Not many people know about it, at least the way that we do it. And I think you probably picked up on some of the differences here already. And you know, the reason that this is so personal for me is because when I was about 15 years old, I had all of these stresses happening. You know, imagine that, a 15-year-old child. You know, we don't associate being a teenager with having a whole lot of stresses, but actually you do. And I didn't realize it. You know, I was still growing. This is the first time in my life I'd had a bit of stress. You know, studying for exams, playing sport, which was a positive stress, but it was still affecting me. You know, hanging out with friends, balancing all of this stuff, being on the student council, you know, organizing events, and almost every lunchtime and morning tea was taken up by doing something. After school, I'd be going straight to my sport practice, playing sport on the weekend, and I was having a great time. But also that stress just became a little bit too much for my body. And you have to remember that when you're growing, when kids, you know, this is why it's so important for kids here, guys, is when kids are growing, their bodies are changing, and they're constantly experiencing new things. And for me, my body went like this, and then it went like this, and man, it crashed. That was a really tough time because I went to every single healthcare professional that we knew and that we knew of and that people told us to go to. So really had all these problems, went up to, you know, the highest guy in the hospital, had all these scans and all these different things, and they said, look, we can't really help you. But guess what? I didn't go to anyone who looked at my spine to see if my spine was affecting the way that my brain and body was communicating with itself. And the reason is because we didn't know. No one had ever told us, number one, that chiropractors existed. Number two, no one ever told us what chiropractors were for. No one's, like, what we thought chiropractors were for was for, you know, fixing back pain with a couple of cracks here and there. We didn't realize that really what chiropractic was about helping people maintain and sustain the very healthiest versions of themselves. So I was lucky. You know, it only took me, you know, 10 weeks of pain and suffering before someone told me about chiropractic. But here's my goal. And my goal is that no one has to wait, especially no child. You know, in this day and age where we have the internet, Facebook, Instagram, websites, all this kind of stuff, I think people deserve to know about what chiropractic is. And I believe that people really deserve the chance to experience it. You know, every day, literally just the other day, I had a girl come in, and she was 24 years old. And, you know, remember, when the body gets like this, you can experience different symptoms, sickness and diseases, right? And we're not working with that. We're working with the way the spine's moving, and then to see if the brain and the body can heal that stuff itself. So this girl had come in, and since she was about 7 years old, she'd been getting about 1 to 2 headaches every single week. Can you imagine that? These aren't just headaches, these are migraines. This is the kind of stuff that puts you in bed, sleeping. You can't go to school, can't go to work, can't do all this stuff. And that's her life. She's been living with that. Because at the end of the day, you know, she went to everyone who she thought could help her. And they said, look, we don't know what's going on. You're just going to have to live with it. But again, I feel it's a real injustice that no one had told this girl about what we do. And of course, within actually a pretty good amount of time, her brain and body became better connected, and perhaps as a result started to function better. And she came in the other day and said, look, these things are a thing of the past. I just don't experience this anymore. I can't believe that no one told me sooner. So that really is my mission, and that's where I invite every single person to really join with me in this mission. And if you know someone who's struggling, or you know someone who wants to be at their very best, it really is up to you to tell them about it, because no one else will. And so I challenge you to talk with someone about that, because people need our help. And really, I'm on a mission here, and I'd love for you to join me in this process.